Hello and welcome to the RC Racing TV build of the DeAgostini Model Space Hummer H1 by Kyosho. What we've got here is all the steps of the Kyosho Hummer H1 provided by DeAgostini Model Space, and there are 40 steps in the build, and we've got the first step here and the second here in another nice retail pack. You can see the Hummer logo at the top of these build steps. The first three of these packs are in these pretty cool, nicely wrapped retail packages that you can get at shops and stores. And then after that, you get bags of parts similar to this one from step 18, and we've got all the parts here to build for you in this build series, and each video in this series is going to walk you through basically building 2 steps at a time. And this is step 1, and as you can see here, there's step 2. You can just see around the hood of the Hummer. So what we've got, now when you order this from DeAgostini, you'll get a cool printed manual. We have got the manual in PDF form on this CD, and basically we're just going to walk through the build step by step. First step, obviously, is to unpack the parts from the model, from the package. We can just get them all out a little bit. There we go. As you can see, we've got one of the drive gears, we've got a hubcap, we've got one of the wheels, got the screws to attach the spur gear to its hub, and then we have the rear number plate. So that looks quite good, and that's going to look really good on the finished car. Of course, got the radiator grille, and it looks like the radiator to go directly behind it as well. Well, we'll see how they go on properly. So that's step 1. And so the first thing that we're going to do is basically get the hub, as you can see, and the spur gear. And this here is the front, and this here is the back. As you can see, there's a pin for the drive pin where it goes on the gear shaft. And we're just going to slot these over, make sure the holes are aligned. As you can see, the holes are nicely aligned. And for this step, I should have mentioned you will need a number 2 Phillips or crosshead style screwdriver. And DeAgostini recommend a file. This is a diamond needle file, so we're just going to make sure we have these handy. Step 2 recommends a hobby knife, which is always handy to have. So let's get into these plastic packages very easily. So we've got the 3 screws there, as you can see. And we're just going to screw these in. Nothing too complicated yet. And the final screw for the spur gear assembly. And there we go. It's quite easy. Just make sure the screw heads are nice and flat, as you can see there. So we'll just set that aside. And now the next step is to assemble the front grille. And here we go. There's right side up. As you can see, these little tabs on either side of the radiator piece will slot into these little openings. And then the pins on the back of the headlight assemblies, that's pretty much it. It more slides in than snaps in. And there we go. That is step 1 completed. So we're going to set those to the back. Obviously, just give you a nice close-up of the wheel. Looks pretty cool. And then that's obviously the center cap that goes over the wheel, the axle that's going to come out of that hole, and then that will just go over like that. So obviously we're not going to put that on yet. We have to glue the tire on. So now on to step 2. Tell you what, I'm going to get the knife just so I can get in it just a bit easier. And remember, safety first. If you're not used to using a very sharp instrument like this, always cut away from yourself. And if you're not old enough to handle a knife properly, just ask a responsible adult to help you out. Or just use a pair of scissors. It's just what I have available. So this step is obviously step 2, and we're going to need a slightly different set of tools to finish this piece off. So yeah, speaking of scissors, this is one of the tools that's recommended. You'll also need some plastic glue, a pair of tweezers, and some clippers, some plastic clippers, which are very simple. They look like this. You might call them side cutters, or some people call them dikes. These aren't needle nose pliers, these are cutters. These are spring loaded, but you can get all different kinds. So there we go, there's the hood of the car, and you start to get the idea of how big this thing is going to be. I mean, the wheel tells you one thing, but yeah, it's going to be a pretty big car once it's all complete. Now we take off the inner shell, and we see a decal sheet, which looks pretty cool. It's got some chrome accents on the decals. It looks like just some nice, some really nice details there. And the chrome really helps it look a lot cooler. All right. Okay, so we've got another wheel, and then we've got a little parts bag. Now, as you're going through the build, obviously we're going to start collecting the various tools that are suggested and required. So make sure you obviously just keep them handy. Okay, another tool that we're going to need is plastic glue, which is pretty common when you're using static models, when you're building static models. This is one type, one brand that you can get. Here's another type and brand that you can get. These types here that you can get with the brush-on applicator, or what we call a fast or hot glue. It doesn't actually get hot, so don't worry about that. But this does work very, very quickly, but you have to be a bit experienced in using it. This one is the more traditional style of glue. Very easy to use. It's completely non-toxic. It's fine for kids to build models with. And what we're going to do first is we're going to take the radiator and the grill and just remove those parts that were fitted together. So basically there's a couple of different types of glue that you can use. I'll show you both types. Either's fine. They're both safe. Obviously, you don't want to be eating it or anything like that. But they are both perfectly safe to use. Just make sure there's nothing inside the barrel, the tip, and you can just see. You just want a very thin bead of this slower type glue. Then we're going to run it on this top edge. This is why we always dry fit pieces before we actually glue them, just to make sure that they will fit properly. Now, because this is an RC vehicle that's going to be going off-road, I'm going to probably use more of the slower type glue. So see, there's the first piece in place. There's a little run of glue that's just coming out, and you can just wipe that away with your finger very easily. Okay, so we have let the front grille piece dry in place, and in the meantime we've taken off the tape that was holding on the top radiator piece here, and we're just dry fitting it to make sure it's got a good fit and we know where to apply all the glue. So let's see. So what we're going to do is just apply the glue along this edging here, and let's see, around this piece here. Just make sure that that is where we want it. Yep. Just around the top of that piece where it comes out. And that should do it. So again, we're using just the relatively slow acting glue. We'll show you how the fast glue works in one of the upcoming pieces. You might not need to actually use this much glue, but it's actually a good idea, I think, because we know that this truck is going to see a lot of heavy-duty off-road action, it being a Hummer and everything. So now you can see where we've put the glue on these pieces. Try not to touch it. It's not bad for your skin or anything, but you don't want to smear it if you can help it. So what we're going to do is actually just flip this over. I'm going to put it in as carefully as we can under these little clip pieces. I'm just supporting it on the other side. And we're going to just press it in place. And we're just going to make sure that it's fully supported all the way around. And the instructions do state that you should use some masking tape to hold it in place. Nothing too strong, because we don't want anything to stick permanently. but we're just going to use this this paint masking tape. You don't have to use anything expensive. This is the good stuff, though. So just get a couple pieces, and we're just going to press it into place nice and firmly so it's held in. This might be a little bit of overkill, but the instructions do suggest to do this, so it's not really a bad idea. I'm just going to use a third small piece. Okay, so we're going to let that dry while we check out the next step. Okay, so the next step is these pieces here are the bonnet hooks, and those will be filled in with these pieces, these curved pieces, and there's 2 of them. They come in the kit. So very simple. You notice that we're not gluing them in place again. We're just dry fitting them to make sure. So you see what they're meant to do. It's where they get lifted by the helicopter or whatever is going to pick it up. And now one of the things in scale modeling is that you can get something like a file like this, or you can just use your hobby knife and just very gently scrape away the mold line there. Not sure if you can actually pick it up very easily. You can also use some fine-grained sandpaper, such as maybe a 200 grit or 150 or so, because this is a fairly small mold line. Now, it's nothing that's going to jump out and grab your eye, but it's just a nice thing to make sure isn't present on the model when it's all finished. So there we go. Let's set those aside. So now we've got the 2 bonnet hooks, and we're going to fit them in place on the engine hood here, or bonnet. And we're just going to press them in place, make sure that they fit nice and snug. And now we're going to use, I'll just demonstrate to you the fast-acting styrene glue. So what this is basically it's just a mixture of again, safe glue that all you do is you just dab it in place, and you make sure that it gets a nice, you get enough in there, and it just runs along the edge of the piece that you're connecting, and it basically instantly melts the pieces together. In essence, you're welding the plastic together. Well, with the other glue as well, but this just dries much faster. And this is a very similar thing to what is in nail polish remover. So now you can see that already where it's been where we put enough on, I should say, it's already firmly attached. So you just have to let it set for just not even really a minute, but that's basically in place now. Okay, and this is available from most model shops that will have scale models, plastic scale models. Mr. Hobby's one brand, to me is another. I believe I'm sure there are other brands, but they all work about the same. So the next step is we're going to, again on the bonnet, just on the back end here, we're going to be installing this little guard piece. Apparently this is the air filter gasket. So you can see that there's tiny little pins, you can see there, and tiny little holes where these 4 pins will be attaching. So this is a perfect candidate for the fast glue. Basically just going to hold it in place. Make sure you get plenty of the glue on the little brush applicator. We're just going to dab it in place before it all dries away. And again, don't worry if you don't have this. This is just a faster method of attaching the pieces together. So that should do it. Again, if you wanted to be really secure, you just use the normal plastic cement. Right. And then the next piece is the air filter. That was the air filter gasket, and now here's the air filter. Now if we wanted to be really accurate on the scale representation, we'll just gently smooth out this piece here. So that's the air filter, and that will be going right over there, it seems. Looks like it just presses right in place. Very good. And what we're going to do is just use the fast glue. It's already in place. The cool thing about the fast glue is that it just seeps right in, and it does work very quickly. You see it's already, that bottom piece isn't budging at all. Okay, and now the next step is we're going to be taking the stickers. Now these aren't water slide transfers, these are actual stickers. Just going to get them out of the bag here. We're getting one of these number 8. Now if you can see that, it says dual beadlock, forged aluminum, central tire inflation system, run flat. So obviously it's pretty cool, and we're going to be putting that in the middle of these hubcaps. And so there's a couple ways you can do this. Is very carefully cut them with a pair of nice, good quality scissors. They don't have to be very expensive, but obviously you don't want dull scissors to be tearing up your inserts, your transfers. Or you can use a good, decent quality scalpel blade or hobby knife. So I'm just going to grab a piece of plastic here, see if I can do this just carrying just by hand. And we're going to do that. You don't have to cut all the way through the paper. You just need to cut through the sticker bit. And we've got 2 wheels here, so we're going to cut 2. Okay, there we go, very easy. And then the next bit. Now the instructions say to use a pair of tweezers, but it's easy enough just to use the tip of your knife blade, just like that. And we're going to get one of the hubcaps. Just make sure that those holes are lined up as horizontally as you can. And we're just going to press and hold it in place and just pull the knife away. And there you go. There's one hubcap done. Going to get the other hubcap. And that's the second one done. And there we go. We are done for steps 1 and 2, and we hope you'll join us for the rest of this build series of the DeAgostini Model Space Kyosho Hummer H1.